record. A big warm welcome to everybody who's arriving. We're very grateful that you give some of your Saturday morning or whenever you happen to be listening to this. Looks like my internet's unstable, apologies. Whenever you happen to be listening to this, we acknowledge you, and it's the best thing you can do for you and your business. Now, I know we've got brand new people on the call today, and you may have not had the opportunity to meet our incredible leader, Mr. Bala. He's Mannatech's president and CEO. Al has previously served as COO Brit. Oh, there you go. Something wrong. Excuse me for that. There's an echo for some reason. Not sure why that is. Make sure, Dan and Gary, that you're both muted, please. So Al Bala is Mannatech's president and CEO. He has previously served as COO Brit Worldwide, one of the largest independent sales organizations, and supported the volume growth to more than 500 million. Al served as manufacturing plant manager for Bose Corporation from 1983 to 1992. He's conversant and or fluent in more than 13 languages. In addition to more than 20 years of domestic and international experience in network marketing, Al's proven record includes growing a major direct sales organization to 750 million, reaching more than 1 million in 60 countries. Al truly has his heart in Mannatech, and most importantly, he's got his heart for us partnering with Mannatech in the field and our success. With over 3 decades in the direct sales industry in North America and over 60 countries around the world, he's got a strong, he travels the world with his heart, a strong sense of mission and purpose, and he rises all of us to be our very best, like I know that he commits to every single day in his work. So Al, thank you so much for being here. I know that you're gonna let us know how things are going and reflect on 2018 and moving into 2019 and the coming years. So very appreciative to have you here.
All right, well, thank you very much, Sharon. It's always a pleasure for me to be invited. You keep inviting me, so I think that's good. So, and as you know, I will never say no, even if the situation is a little bit difficult, like today, at 5 in the morning. But I have a passion for this thing, and just for those out there for the first time watching this, I actually been in this industry for 38 years. So I started literally in my at 20 years old, I was introduced to this incredible industry, and it's changed my life. Literally from someone who worked in a factory, in a jewelry factory, 38 years ago, to rising to be the CEO and president of a publicly traded company, which for me, that doesn't really mean much, from a title point of view. What it means to me is the transformation potential that exists in each one of us, that this industry allows us to really be able to explode. So I am passionate about this industry. I have so much to be thankful for it. Over the last 38 years, not only has it changed my life, it's probably changing my next generations as well. And that's the impact I want everybody to understand before we start and before we talk about what's going on, is realize that when you are involved in this industry, the potential there is for your life to change and transform, of course, but the opportunity you have to really shape and transform the lives of others. When I think about it, 38 years ago, someone had the courage. Actually, I'm just about to celebrate 38 years this month, because it was in November, December of 1980 that I got the invitation to come and take a look at this business opportunity in this industry, and literally that one phone call totally changed my life. So the person who picked up that phone, and in this case, this is going to be you, when you pick up this phone and you call someone and you just put your heart out there talking to them about what they could do with their lives and what they could do with their health and their finance and the purpose they can bring to their life. Sounds almost cliche, sounds like it's a sales, proposition to some degree, but yet it's a life-changing proposition. And I am an absolute example of that, and hopefully an inspiration for others to say, I'm going to pick up that phone, I'm going to make that phone call, I'm going to reach out, I'm going to put myself on the line for a second. And when I say that, it sounds probably worse than it is, because I've put myself on the line for 38 years. I can say that I've never had bodily harm done to me because I put myself on the line. Maybe my ego was a little affected when somebody said no, but that's the worst that can happen, is somebody's going to say no. And usually they're not saying no to you, they're saying no to themselves, or they're saying no to the situation right now because they can't take advantage of it. They'll always, hopefully, should be thankful that you took the time to call them and to put yourself out there. And if they only knew, they should be incredibly thankful for the fact that you were thinking about them enough to call them. It kind of changes the dynamic, I think, of how we normally think about this, because most of us are thinking about this from our point of view, from our standpoint. I am trying to build my business, so I am reaching out to someone. Is this for me? Yes, it is for you, but on the other side, it is really for them. And there's not a better time, I think, in a whole year where this is really as evident as it is right now, because this time of the year is really when I think a lot of people do reflect. A lot of people do think about what the what ifs. What if they could do more for others? What if they could do more for their kids? It's Christmas time, right? What if they could do more for their parents, for their friends, it's that time of giving. It's that time of you want to do something special for people. And most of us are going to be limited in our ability to do more for others at this time of the year because of our finances, because of different situations. And this is probably a good time for everyone that's watching to really reach out. Don't think that just because it's a holiday and everybody's busy, that your message would not have a lot of meaning, a lot of power, even if someone is not ready right now, but you're catching them at a time where they're thinking about their limitations, especially financial limitations. And we're having probably the best Christmas we've ever had. We turned our house into Christmas wonderland this past few weeks. And I know how much better it is for us because of this opportunity, because of what came into our lives. My case, 38 years ago, my wife's case about 20 some years ago, and what this opportunity has afforded us, and why Christmas is so much nicer now than it was years ago when we were really struggling. And they say money doesn't buy happiness, and that's probably very true. But I tell you, it helps a whole lot to make you happy in many ways. So I wanted to reflect on that, because for me, this is the time of the year always where I think we come face to face with that reality. And Mannatech, or any opportunity in our industry, really gives you a platform to build something that eventually takes some of the money worries out of the way and really allows you to express yourself as a human being in a way that you wouldn't be able to, even if you wanted to. We all want to do nice things. We want to donate to our best favorite charities. We want to do something for our parents. We want to do something for our kids, but we are limited. We are limited either because of our health or because of our finance. So anyways, I just thought I'd throw that out there, because if some of you are winding down, I'm just going to say, this is the time to actually be very active, be very open to the opportunities. Do what you do in your life normally, but stay open, keep your radar on. There's a lot of people really praying to be able to have something in their lives that could really transform their lives, again, both in terms of health and in terms of their finance, and give them a greater sense of purpose in their lives. Now, having said that, let me kind of go into some of the things that I believe is going to be good for us as we leave this year 2018, go into our year 2019. Because I can tell you that from a Mannatech point of view, we are entering a new season in a cycle of a business. I mean, I am here in Thailand with 300 of our top Chinese associates. Last year we were in the Gold Coast, and there was half of them, and they've doubled their numbers just from Gold Coast to Thailand. And for me, that is something that's going to impact our business, Mannatech, in a major way. I know you know this, but the world is changing. There's a lot of things that are happening in the world that we have to put in context to how does that affect our business? Well, how does that affect a company like Mannatech? One of those things is something that happened, just a month ago, and that was November 11 of 2018. November 11, which is in China Singles Day, one company, one website called Alibaba did over $30 billion in sales in 24 hours. Now, folks, if you just try to understand what that means, in a transactional world, which is where a website just takes an order and then ships a product, that is just totally mind-blowing that that's even possible. $30 billion in one day. Now, to understand what that means, if I took every direct selling companies in America, and that includes all the big ones, that includes Amway, USANA, and 1,400 other companies in the US, in 1 year, they do about $35 billion in sales. One website in China did 30 billion in 24 hours. Now, what do we need to get from this? Is that the velocity at which things are happening today in the world is just completely mind-blowing. The fact that we have solved the transactional issue of moving $30 billion worth of goods in one day tells me that the future is totally different for all of us in terms of what the possibilities are. Because when I think about Mannatech, we are a website. Technically, we are a website in wellness, and we have the same ability once we figure out the transactional side of it, but with one added dimension, and that's the relational side of those transactions. So the one thing that Alibaba as a website doesn't have is the relational. Now, of course, they've done really well. They're very clever at marketing online, very clever at marketing through WeChat, through the phone, but they still miss this one element, which is the relational element, which is hundreds of thousands of people driving traffic to a website. Now, if you take it in this context and you say, okay, imagine that Mannatech could figure out the transactional side, but we could add to it the relational side. What kind of volume could that mean? What kind of amount of business could that be? How many lives can be touched? How many people can be affected? How much commissions can be paid in that context? So for me, if we need to be aware, because I mean, everybody that's watching me right now is probably in some ways wondering, or had at least thoughts about whether or not we as an industry, the direct selling industry, the wellness direct selling industry, Mannatech, Are we relevant in this new world that we're going into? Are we relevant? Are we still relevant? Is this still a mechanism that is in line with the future? Or is this something that is not going to make any sense anymore 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And the reason that question is important to be asked and to be answered is because if we're not going to be relevant 5 years from now, then why do this? But if we're going to be relevant 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, then why not do it so that we can make sure that we create this legacy that we've been talking about over the years? 38 years ago, I bought into the idea that I could do something for a few years so that I could create a financial legacy for me and my family for the rest of my life. Well, if that's still true, then what's stopping us from jumping in with everything that we got? Because that promise still is true. That promise still does happen. I mean, yesterday I had the pleasure, before traveling to Pattaya, to watch, this panel of these new Chinese presidential, a new bronze presidential, a new gold presidential, a new presidential. One lady was in finance. Another one was an architect for 17 years. Another one had just retired from teaching after 40 years of teaching. And watching them talk about why they got involved with Mannatech. And it was so refreshing to bring back all those things back into my mind in terms of why people do this. The architect, 17 years as an architect, very, very, very successful architect in China, working 10, 12, 15 hours a day. I mean, projects in Dubai, projects in China, projects in other parts, Singapore. And he burnt himself out. His health went down. He couldn't take the continued stress. Now, he was a young guy. I would have never known. Obviously, they tend to look young, but they're not young. But for him, last month was his chance to retire himself out of being an architect to do this Mannatech full time, because he got his health back and he could see a future financially that he didn't see being an architect. So this is not a nobody that had no option. This is somebody who had option. The other one runs a financial firm in China within her family that is super successful. Same thing. Why Mannatech? She wanted to do something on her own. She didn't want to be in a family business forever. She wanted to kind of strike out on her own, and Mannatech was the answer. The teacher, she was in her 60s. She had to be in her 60s. Literally 2 years ago, she couldn't even get out of bed. She couldn't get out of bed. She had all kinds of issues, got introduced to the product, took the products for a year and a half, reestablished her health completely, and then decided she was going to do this as a retirement activity. And this woman had more spring in her step than anyone you could. I could not even believe she was retired. I mean, she didn't look like she should be retired. She was excited again. She loved the whole idea of having a new life. Guys, that's just a microcosm of the proposition that we have for people. This is the thing that Alibaba doesn't do. This is the thing that Amazon doesn't do, is how these relational things, this relational aspect of what we do, really, it can transform people's lives and give meaning to people's lives in ways that other things wouldn't. Now, there's probably other things that people could do. We do Mannatech. You do Mannatech. And it's good enough. It's good enough to do the kinds of things you want to do with your life, to change your health, to change your finance, and to give you more purpose and more and a sense of significance that you would not otherwise have. Folks, that's probably why you got involved in the first place. Now the question is, what's going to keep you involved? What is going to keep you involved? What is going to get you to do more of what you've done in the past that maybe you're not doing right now because you're wondering, is this still it? And, you know, we got to understand something. You know, 3 years ago, we had less than one presidential in Greater China, native presidentials. This year, we got 77. Next year, we're going to have over 150. The following year, we're going to have over 500. The following year, we're going to have over 1,000. Now, guys, I know that we're talking about China, but the proposition hasn't changed for Australasia, for North America, from anywhere else in the world. It's the same proposition. It's the same products. It's the same transaction and relation that we create through this opportunity. Do they have it easier? Trust me, they absolutely do not have it easier. I mean, logistically, we just had a week and a half shutdown for reasons that was outside of us. We've had massive back orders in the early part of the year because we got caught by surprise in terms of how much volume was really going to happen there. So these people have gone through all the ebbs and flows and all the issues, the problems, the disappointments. You know, actually part of what was refreshing is listening to them talk about those disappointments. And we might think, well, everybody in China just gets involved. But the fight they're in every day to just validate the model, because the model is technically not something that's even that people look at very positively. Just like in the US, just like in Australasia, just like anywhere else, people have the same issues of, is this a pyramid? I would never do that. Oh, you're an architect. Why are you doing this? What's wrong with you? They go through all those roller coasters of emotions, but yet it still happens. The magic still happens. And that magic happens when we stay steady in doing the things we need to do. And we really strongly believe that what we do makes a difference, and we stay open to the possibilities, and then those stories come to life. And then you get to hear about all these success that people are having. And that is not by coincidence. It's not by accident. It's not just because it's China. It's just because as human beings, if we do certain things consistently, we create certain results. And you got to ask yourself, what is it that I'm doing consistently that will help me create the results that I want in my life? What are the things that are stopping me? What are my barriers? What are my opportunities? And what decisions do I make every single day to advance me towards my goals and my dreams or not? Now, this is a time of the year where you are going to reflect on 2019, on 2018. This is when, in a few weeks, we'll be wishing everybody a happy new year, greater health, greater wealth, greater happiness. And I guess my question would be, why? What will make 2019 any different than 2018 unless you start making some decisions right now that are going to be different than the decisions you've made over the course of the year? Because nothing changes until you change. So if you want 2019 to be that better year, you got to ask yourself, how am I getting better to get a better year? What am I doing different that's going to change that in terms of my, whether it's my health, my weight, my, and my finances, and whatever else you feel is part of your goal system going into 2019. I do hope that some of you will take the time to reflect on 2018 and definitely create your vision board, your dream board for 2019, 2020. I think we're going into a time, which is pretty interesting. I mean, 2020 for me is an interesting milestone. Will you set for yourself a 2-year goal? Starting with 2019, what are you going to do different starting now to go into 2019, create a platform that will take you to 2020? Where do you want to be by 2020? I think this is a great time to be asking people that question as you get around people this holiday. What are your plans between now and 2020? What are you going to do? What do you hope to happen? What are your hopes? What are your wishes? What are your dreams? What are your desires between now and 2020? Let's make 2020 kind of like a milestone. And if it's a great milestone for you, and if you're going to create your vision, your 2020 vision, kind of sounds cute a little bit, but what's your 2020 vision? What are you going to do between now and 2020? What do you want to see happen by 2020? A 2-year planning timeline is great. It's definitely better than 1 year, because you can miss some things in 1 year, but in 2 years, you have time to really develop fully a vision and create something totally different for your life. 2 years could totally transform your life, your health, your finances, your legacy forever. So what is that going to be? What do you want it to be? And then start asking other people what their 2020 vision is. Hashtag 2020 vision. How about that? Every post you put out there, every time you talk to people, hashtag 2020. What's your vision for 2020? And then how can Mannatech be part of that vision? Folks, I do understand that, and I'm going to speak specifically to Australasia. Then I'm going to end with kind of some of the other things that I see that are going on that I feel we can all capitalize on. We all pretty sad about losing Sinead, one of our, really, really wonderful staff from Mannatech Australasia. Wonderful girl. I couldn't be happier for her, for an opportunity that came into her lap, and she couldn't say no. We wouldn't allow her to say no, because it was the right thing for her, even though selfishly we would rather keep her. But this was just something. You train someone, you bring people up through your organization to make them valuable, extremely valuable, which means that someday they may have to leave you because other people do see their value and also as well. And they have an opportunity to do something really special in their lives. You can't try to hold them back because you need them. You just got to let them go. So I understand that's been a little hurtful for people. You've built that relationship. She's a wonderful gal. She's done a great job for us, really, and we really want to thank her. I want to thank her right here, publicly, for all that she did, holding the fort, moving things along. But those things happen. But you know what? People will come and go, but your dream, your vision has to be steady. And it doesn't depend on anybody else. It doesn't depend on who's the CEO or who's the general manager or who's the sales manager. It really is up to you. It's really up to you and your decisions and your daily mode of action that's going to determine that. So things are changing. The world is changing fast. The Alibaba thing, the speed, the velocity of those changes, the new tools and transactionally that we have to create something for the amazing globally, which you have. By the way, China is in your future. I mean, if you live in Australia, China is in your future. One day or another, it's going to happen. You need to just stay open, get yourself educated on it as much as you can. But there is so much opportunities in that side of the world. If you live in Australia today, you have a lot of ways that you can capitalize on what's going on in China. And I don't want to kind of make China the conversation here, but it is really a catalyst in my mind for all these changes that are going on around the world. The other change that's going on is, folks, the world of work is changing. And it's changing fast. We are witnessing the greatest migration we've ever seen in 200 years of people who are employees who are now moving into becoming entrepreneurs. The age of the micro entrepreneur is here, there is going to be more and more people that have no other options but to be a micro entrepreneur, because the jobs just are not going to be there. Folks, keep tab on artificial intelligence. Keep tab on what that means for the future of work in general and how things are going to be done in the future. Keep a tab on robots and how robots are going to become more prevalent in our society than we want to believe. Artificial intelligence, robots, and so many more things I don't even know enough about to talk about, but they all if the world of work is changing and the nature of work is changing, by the way, this is not the apocalypse. This is not the end of the world. This is just a very positive change, actually, in my mind, because people are much more productive in their lives as a micro entrepreneur than they ever be as an employee, period. Now, most of you who are watching me who are entrepreneurs know that. What you do for yourself, what you do for your own business is going to be at a different level, from a productivity point of view than what you do in a job. And the fulfillment you get from running your own business and succeeding in your own business is way beyond any satisfaction that you get just being an employee. I just know that. I'm at the top of the food chain and in an employee world, and I can tell you, it doesn't match what you get as being an entrepreneur. That's no question about it. So if that is the flux, if that's the transition that the world is going through, what are you doing to help position your business opportunity as one of those options that people should be really looking at seriously in order to create a multi-generational financial legacy? So that's one that it's here to stay, and you just have to figure out within all the tools that are available, all the technology. Just imagine. I'm in Pattaya. We're having this conversation. I'm like in your living room. I can see you in your office, Sharon. It's like I'm right there with you. When did that ever happen? If we're in the business of influencing, if we are influencers, if we're out there sharing information, motivating people, inspiring people, what a magnificent tool we have in our hands to be a global influencer like never in the history of the world. So guys, if we harness all of this power that's around us, we harness all these tools that are around us and utilize it to build this financial legacy, we have no idea how big this can be and how exciting, how much fun that could be when we're doing those things. So the world of work is changing. I tell you, in the world of wellness, a couple of things have happened just in the last month that's very significant to us. Sharon, I don't know how much people are aware of this new study that came out of the University of Glasgow, specifically about Manos. Any of you familiar with that? Have you heard about it? Have you read it?
I did read one, but I don't connect with Glasgow, so maybe I read a different one.
Okay, it's specifically about Manos. Folks, I can't tell you what it says because then I'll be out of compliance.
But go read it.
But go Google it, please. And maybe I'll send you the link, Sharon, and you can share it with everybody. Pretty
Fantastic.
Amazing what this study talks about in terms of how Manos has been now connected to the mechanisms of action of reducing and stopping the growth of tumors. Now, this is in rats, but that's the first step before we go into talking about it from human. So again, I don't want to go into too much and in fear of being out of compliance, but boy, when you read this thing, it's just gonna blow you away. Okay, and it is just another evidence that in a wellness arena, our proposition is really powerful. What you and I have known for, in my case, 12 years, what you guys have known over 20 years of what these products can do, Now people are finding out not only what it does, but how it does it. So it's going to be incredibly empowering to everybody who's watching me right now. The world of glyconutritionals, the world of glycobiology is going to continue to evolve, and the things that we've always known and the things we've preached for 25 years will be coming to life in a way that we never, we wished and hoped that it would, and it is. Guys, if you go to webmd.com, type in glyconutrients, and they'll give you a few options, and then click on the link. You will find that for them, when they say glyconutrient, they in parentheses say ambertose, mannapole, aceman, and we have, I think we've arrived. What we've been wanting to do for 25 years, which is connect glyconutrients directly to ambertose. Guess what? It's happened. When WebMD says that, which is one of the most reputable medical websites in America for sure, but even in the world, all of a sudden, they connect glyconutrient directly to ambertose and mannapole and aceman, right? Is that good or what? Right? That's great. But then they go into a whole list of things that they believe, they say, I didn't say it, they say it, that this product does and what it could do, the effects that it can have, and what it supports. It's just fabulous. It's just fabulous. Folks, we're coming to that time that we have prayed for, we have wished for our whole lives in this business. It's here. It really is here. We just got to kind of stay open, learn how to share it, in a proper way. But it is now in public domains. So it's not a Mannatech domain anymore. It's a public domain. It's out there. So let's be smart about how we use it. Obviously, we don't want to go out there and say, well, it's now proven that we cure blah 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 blah. No. But look, this is what experts are telling us about these technologies. Maybe we ought to be paying attention to these things. So within our framework and us building around it, because now, that's our core. We're not going away from our core, but we're building all around our core. Everything we develop is developed around the core of glyconutritionals and how that can truly make a difference in people's lives, right? And so next year we'll be coming with a whole line of what we call essentials, which is more targeted products. So something for the vision, something for the heart, something for the brain, something for the knees, whatever. We're going to have more targeted products at a much nicer, more affordable price range, everything under this umbrella of glyconutritional. So for me, where wellness is going and the evidence that are being now made public about what glyconutritionals can do is something that's very powerful to really anchor our proposition in a way that I don't think we've been able to over the years. I'll just say that. Okay, so you take then the speed of things, the new world we're in with transactions, the relational part that we bring to it, the world of work and how that's changing, the world of wellness and what we bring to it. You add all those things together, I think we have ourselves a recipe for an amazing next 25 years in Mannatech, and especially the next 5 years. Folks, this company will be unrecognizable in 5 years in terms of its size, in terms of how it's seen and how it's perceived around the world. We've gone through a lot of challenges over the last 10 years. We've paid the price. We've learned a lot. We've changed. We've done the things we needed to do. We didn't just stay still and woe is us. We took these things head on. And I know a lot of you who are watching me, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about you. When I say this, I'm not just talking about the company. You took a lot of hits head on. You kept plowing through. You kept the vision. You stayed steady. You stayed focused. you stayed clear about there was clarity in what you wanted to do. Now it's time to assume, to expect that all of that turns into the next cycle of our business. We start a new journey. And the next 2 years, I believe, are going to be very exciting, probably the most exciting part of our journey as a company. And you have to decide. You have to decide if you're going to be part of it, and to what degree of activity you're going to be a part of it. Are you going to be a part of it as a spectator? Are you going to be a part of it by being all in? Those are the decisions you're going to make at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. And those decisions will shape your future, will shape what your 2020 will look like. So, Sharon, I hope that, there's really a lot more I could say, but I hope that this gives us enough of a, but I have a great presentation that I'm using to really, explain all of this. Maybe I'll send you that presentation and please use it if it helps you. I think it'll make a lot of sense once you hear what I just said in terms of how you can use it to talk to people in general about, what's happening and what's the future look like. It's really great for existing associates to understand the relevance of what you're doing right now and how it fits into the future. I believe direct sales is the next $1 trillion industry. It's a $300 billion industry. It will be the next $1 trillion industry over the next 3 to 5 years. And so we are in a growing, dynamic, energetic segment of business that we get to play in and be a part of. And it's just a matter of how big do you want to play. And if you live in Australia, I'll tell you again, in Australasia, if you live in Singapore, in New Zealand, and Australia, just your proximity to the new center of gravity, the new global center of gravity, which is China. If I was in your shoes, I'd be very excited about my possibilities. And I would play full on for the next few years to make sure that I have, I get my piece of this action that's going to happen around the world, especially in that part of the world over the next few years. So that's it. That's my report from Pattaya, Thailand. It's 5:30 now in the morning or something. We're jumping in a taxi here in about half hour, going back to Bangkok. But it's been a pleasure to share with you, and I can only say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and enjoy this time of the year. It's a wonderful time of the year. But get focused, get clarity, and get focused, and make your plans, and talk to a lot of people, even if they're busy right now, because come January, it's going to be time to pay those visa bills and for Christmas, and people will be in a different frame of mind if you've had a chance to really at least expose them to some of the truth that we hold to be true about what's happening in the industry, in Mannatech, and who knows? Then they'll be ready, and it'll be the nice foundation for a most amazing 2019. And I wish you a most amazing 2019, 2020. Get on this ride with us. It's going to be a great ride. This is a new season, and we're approaching it with amazing expectation, because it is about expectation. You got to believe. Nothing is ever going to happen to you that you didn't believe first. So if it's not happening, check your belief system, and if you have the belief system, expect it to happen, because it's a done deal. It's a done deal. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, most incredible 2019 to all of you. I love you guys, and guess what? I will see you soon. I will be in Australia for your main event there, and so I'll be looking forward to seeing you all, and give you all a big hug. All right. So
We'll hold you to that, Al. And there's so much gratitude in the chat. I'm not sure if you're able to see it, but everybody's very, very grateful. I found the 2 links that you've referred, so I'll be able to pass
okay,
them on. But if you send me the presentation, I'll make sure everybody has access to that
I
too.
will. I'll send that to you this next next day or so.
Okay, and everybody listening today, if you want that information, you need to be on my email list. Just go to info@richardlives.com.au or on our Australasian Connect Facebook page. Message me there and I can send it to you. So Al, God bless you. You and Johanna, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your holiday and your incentive trip, and we'll see you in February.
All right. You bet. We'll see you in February.
All
Love
right.
you guys.
See ya.
Talk to you
Bye,
soon.
everyone. Merry
Bye-bye.
Christmas.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.